So we have a resolution here honoring the LaRusso family. So will the LaRussos please come join me up front? Honoring the LaRusso family for 3 generations of exemplary service to the Borough of Belmar and the Union Fire Company No. 1. Whereas Belmar's Union Fire Company No. 1 is a volunteer organization designed to serve and protect residents and visitors of Belmar, and whereas the LaRusso family has served and protected the community of Belmar for 3 generations with 9 members currently volunteering, and whereas the LaRusso family are highly skilled and have undergone rigorous training to prepare and respond to emergencies, and whereas their bravery and service have combated thousands of fires and have rescued and saved thousands of lives, and whereas the LaRusso family continues to carry on the family tradition and calls Union Fire Company No. 1 their home away from home, now therefore be resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar hereby recognize and honor the LaRusso family for their continued dedication to our town. Now therefore be resolved, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar hereby extend on behalf of all Belmar residents the deepest gratitude to the LaRusso family for their service and dedication to Belmar. Let's hear for LaRusso. The best looking one. So, what would you like to say?
Well, really, it's my honor. I'm just glad I'm here for another year, maybe a few more. I want to thank Borough of Belmar for the honor of being here. Thanks again.
And as everyone knows, I think most people know, we had a really tragic fire in Belmar last night. I mentioned before that 2 people perished in a house fire on 14th Avenue. Once again, the Belmar Fire Department, along with Avon, Spring Lake, Wall, and Neptune, and all 3 fire companies from Belmar responded and did a tremendous job battling the fire. By the time they got there, it was unfortunately too late for the 2 that were inside the house. But they were able to save the structure next door, and those folks are able to sleep in their own beds and bedrooms tonight because of the fire department here in Belmar. So let's hear it for our all volunteers. What year did you start?
What was that?
What year did you start?
60.
1960.
Okay, thanks again.
That was a good speech you brought to you. Babies. Do you know how to that damn fire? Congrats again.
Next is workshop discussion. Anything else for workshop? Petitions. Any petitions for the mayor and council? None tonight. Approval of the minutes. Although Yeah, approval of the minutes.
Okay. I move that the minutes of the meeting held on July 20th, 2016, and August 5th, 2016, be approved as recorded, and that a copy thereof be posted on the borough's website.
Second.
George? Yes. I was not here at the last meeting, so I have to abstain. Is that
Okay,
true?
no.
Quorum
You
for that?
can abstain, but you
I
have
abstain.
3 for the quorum.
Yeah, I will abstain.
Councilman Blackburn
Yes.
and Councilman Miller.
Yes.
Next, reports as a council. Council President, I got it.
Thank you very much, Mayor Doherty. As Matt just mentioned, terrible fire last night. I was there, went to watch. So proud of the fire department. All the fire department, they were so somber because they knew that the 2 people were still in the building after the fire had been put out. And even though they did a great job, the fire department guys, real proud, just walked around and did what they had to do until the county coroner got there. So great job by our volunteer fire department members. Last week I had the privilege, the fun of babysitting my 3 grandsons. So I took them to Dunkin' Donuts for a nutritious breakfast. Watching them was like herding cats. So somehow I got distracted and I left Dunkin' Donuts apparently without my wallet. And that evening when I went to look for it, I couldn't find it, couldn't remember where it was. That was on a Thursday morning when I last was at Dunkin' Donuts. All day Friday, all day Saturday. Finally, Sunday afternoon, I went to the police department to make a report. Officer Joe Rayo took my report, asked me my name, okay, gave him my name, asked me if I lived in Belmar, I lived in Belmar, and walked out. He took the report, so I figured, quite honestly, that would be it. I get a call later that evening from Mr. Patrol Officer Rayo that he found my wallet with everything in it. He went back to Dunkin' Donuts and asked the manager had it in his safe, and I got everything. So, Tina, Tommy, if you could say something nice to also that I really appreciated him finding my wallet, it saved me so much aggravation. It just goes to show you, never take your grandkids to Dunkin' Donuts. That's my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Kim.
I'd like to also congratulate the Russo family. There's nothing, no one is more important, I don't think, than volunteer firemen. Back in April of 2015, the Pedestrian Bicycle Committee met with the county engineer about a couple of problems that we would like to see fixed here in Belmar on county roads. In June of this year, I sent a letter to the freeholders because we had never heard anything from the county about 16th Avenue. They were working on Ocean Avenue, talking about Ocean Avenue, but what we wanted done on 16th, we had never heard anything. Yesterday, I finally received a letter from the county engineer. So they are willing to put some crosswalks across the street between Route 71 and Route 35. They're only recommending 3 streets that it happens at. They do have things that we could do, and they would be doing 6 streets. So I called the engineer yesterday, left a message, and she has not returned my phone call. I will try her again tomorrow. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have not given a report in quite a while, but I will try to be brief. I have not been to a council meeting in a while.
Do you want us to explain how it works?
Well, the sad thing is, it seems to run better without me here. I think it speaks volumes of what outstanding members of the council we have. That even in my absence, they run smoothly and get a lot done. So thank you all very much. So the town is looking great, and I really got to compliment the Department of Public Works. Whether it's Main Street, the boardwalk, and as much as we're able to do at the marina. The marina this summer, as everyone knows, is a monster construction site between the building getting done and also the dredging. The dredging was held up for a little while. It seems to have started again. Is that right, Michael?
They started assembling what they need to get going. They plan on starting their dredge next week, the end of next week.
But we made it very clear to all along that this is the one summer when they can take up parking at the marina. After this, we need all those parking spaces back, particularly with the progress that they're making at the new marina building. Both the Director Campbell and I had the opportunity to walk through it, and it's amazing. They really are putting their money where their mouth is, and they're going to build one heck of an amazing building up there. They hope to be done maybe sometime in January. That seems to be a little aggressive, but we sure hope they make it. But I got to imagine that they'll make sure that they're done in time for Parade Day of next year, the first Sunday in March, to be open and ready for customers. But that building is really, really tremendous. Other great building, the Taylor Pavilion. People haven't been down to the beachfront yet. You'll see all the skillets up now. When they poured, the real milestone was pouring the concrete. They poured 310 cubic yards of concrete. Just to give you an idea, there's 10 cubic yards in each truck. So those big Clayton masonry concrete trucks you see. So there were 31 of them. And usually they're lined up about 6 at a time. And they would bring another 6 and bring another 6 and bring another 6. But they were able to pour all that in just one day. However, it was so big and so voluminous that it took about 7 days for it to actually start to harden. And one of the things I learned about concrete, members of council, is that rain is good for concrete. I always thought it would be bad for concrete, it would wash it away, but somehow, some way, it actually strengthens it. So all the rain that we had after they poured is actually a benefit to us. You're going to see more going on there. Today they got a lot of lumber delivered. So they're going to start putting the walls up and the sides. Assuming the weather works with us, that's a building we're hoping to have completed by the end of this year. So to have that project done in 2012. And that's all for me. That's all for me. Next is public session, but let's talk to George first before we start a public session, because there are going to be resolutions on here we're not going to discuss tonight. Correct, George?
Right. We have 3 members of council. Mayor has recused himself on a number of resolutions pursuant to our ordinance 9-5A, general ineligibility of elected officials and past campaign contribution. So what that leaves us with is 2 members of council, which is not a quorum. So on the matters that are before the governing body, that we only have 2 members, we're going to have to table. And they would be 3 resolutions in the resolution section. The second resolution in the resolutions by consent would be the second reading of the ordinance amending the Seaport redevelopment, and the resolution under resolutions continued, resolution awarding contract for curb, sidewalk, and driveway apron placements. I quite honestly don't know how the court would rule on the issue. Our ordinance is unique. There are no cases interpreting our ordinance. But it's my opinion that if this ordinance presents a conflict, the proper thing to do is to recuse. And it's better to wait until we have 3 members than to place any of these votes in question. So that's my recommendation. I recommend that make a motion to table those matters and then proceed with the ones.
So on a motion to table, Council President McGovern makes a motion, Councilmember Gaston Blackman seconds it, much like the minutes, I can abstain.
Yeah, we have to move on with the meeting, it's procedural in nature, it's not substantive, and, otherwise, don't be hanging out in limbo and won't address it, so yes, that would be my opinion.
And would we need a motion on each individual one?
No, you can just, motion to table each one of them, and, one motion for all five, if there's any objection, then we could address those objections, I don't see how we should have any objections, actually. Yeah, we could do them in one fell swoop.
Okay, should I mention which ones were tabled?
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion that we table the resolution authorizing payment of bills, the refund of development of escrow, and the purchase of a tractor, and the second reading of the two ordinances, number 2016-9, and the second reading of, and public hearing for ordinance 2016-10. Do you want a second?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Councilman Governor, the first ordinance, 2016-9, is providing for sidewalks improvements by Belmar, and that's not awarding the contract, so that one can be acted upon. So if I could.
Want to amend my amendment?
If I could amend your, it would include the three resolutions, authorizing payment of bills, authorizing refund of development escrow, authorizing contract purchase of the tractor, the resolution authorizing receipt of bids for resurfacing of the tennis courts, ordinance number 2016-10, and resolution awarding contract for curb sidewalks and driveways. So if you'd like to make that motion?
Yeah. Start all over again?
No. you don't
Okay.
have to.
All right, good. I make that motion to table those resolutions and ordinances that Mr. Miguel just mentioned.
Second.
Councilman Blackman?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Downey?
Abstain. Fair enough. All right, so now we're going to have a public session on the resolution calendar, which only includes the consent agenda. Any comments, questions on, this is just the resolution calendar? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, I'll make a, oh, yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Claire Dyson, 1017 14th Avenue. Could you explain a little bit about the Dennison Park resolution regarding the skateboard park?
Yeah, well, one of the issues we've been having with our police department is the skateboard park. They constantly get called there, they become a real nuisance for the police. It draws a lot of, unfortunately, young adults, and not just children, who can be problematic for our police department, so it often gets shut down. This is an effort to try to open it, because we do have a lot of parents that would like to see their children take advantage of the skateboard park. The park has been there, I guess, 7, maybe 8 years now. Back when it was originally installed, people who put it in said that they were going to provide oversight, that they were going to maintain it, and they were going to ensure that people actually abided by the rules and regulations. That never happened. It was a real burden on our police department, which again, is a waste of taxpayer money, so they just locked it, rightfully so. So in this case, we are going to entertain the idea of having someone bid on the opportunity to regulate. And see if that's helpful.
Thank you.
Can I jump in on something also? Along with the police problems, I drove past there about a month ago, and the amount of trash and broken glass in there was horrible. Mr. Campbell was notified, and the next day, it was all cleaned up. But the DPW should not have had to go in there and clean up broken glass and the absolute mess that was in there.
Thank you. Seeing no other hands, I'll make a motion. Yes, sir.
Good evening, David Schnapp, 302 C Street. Not really clear on how we can pass any kind of motions with only 2 council members.
This is on the resolution calendar.
Right.
Any
Well,
comments or
you,
questions on the resolution calendar?
well, you took a couple of items off of the resolution
That's
calendar.
true. Do you have any comments or questions on the resolution calendar being considered now?
Yeah, my question is, how can you even have a vote to table something from the resolution calendar with?
It's not on the resolution calendar, you have to sit down and speak to the public. It's real simple, it's on the resolution calendar. If you don't understand me, I can't help
You
you.
just had a vote with 2 people about the resolution calendar, about tabling something from the resolution calendar.
This is a public portion for what's being considered on the resolution calendar tonight.
Thank you.
Shouldn't be tough to understand. Any other comments, questions on the resolution calendar?
I understand the motion.
Resolution calendar. Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public portion of the resolution.
Aye.
Next, I'll offer and remove the resolution calendar, the consent agenda.
Second?
Okay, Councilman Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Mayor Dyer?
Yes. Next is second reading public hearing, ordinance 2016-08, ordinance amending and supplementing various sections of chapter 19, traffic as a revised general ordinance of the Borough of Belmar. This is open for a public hearing. Any comments, questions on this ordinance? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Next I'll offer for adoption ordinance 2016-08.
Second.
Councilman Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Mayor Dyer?
Yes. Next, second reading public hearing, ordinance 2016-09, bond ordinance providing for sidewalk improvement in and by the Borough of Belmar, County of Monmouth, New Jersey, appropriating $500,000 thereof, authorize the issuance of $475,000 bonds or notes of the borough for financing the cost thereof, and directing the special assessment of the cost thereof. So this is the bonding for the sidewalk improvement. This is open for public hearing. If anyone has any comments or questions on this. Yes, sir.
I guess my basic question, how do they get
Just
on this
name,
list?
I know you are, but just name that.
I'm trying to go to 41114. Okay, just, how do they get on this list, number one?
We started talking about a sidewalk and curb program over a year ago, I guess, almost a year and a half. And one of the things we did was we made it both voluntary, if someone would like to be a part, and also mandatory if the sidewalk that you have in front of your house failed a test by the code enforcers. So I believe in town, I don't know if our police department knows, and I don't know if the clerk knows, but there's only a certain amount of distance that a sidewalk is allowed to be up relative to the other sidewalk. So let's say you have 2 pieces of concrete, and one piece of concrete is it a quarter inch? Quarter inch. If one piece of concrete is a quarter inch above the other piece of concrete, that has to get replaced because it's considered unsafe. So they went around the whole town, inspected everybody, and then came up with a list. If you're on the list, you can be a part of the program. Which I would say is going to save you money. If you don't want, you can always do it yourself, get your own contractor. My guess is, we're going to get a contractor who's going to do 1,000 of them cheaper than you'll get a contractor doing one. If you don't do anything, then you're subject to fines from code enforcement because the sidewalk is above a half an inch.
Okay. Well, they seem to be a 3-pronged curb, sidewalk, apron.
Right.
Okay, I don't see where my curb is, would have to replace, because then it would be dissimilar, it would be the symmetry of it all.
Yeah, that's a good question. Go ahead.
Some of the list is also voluntary. People have asked to be on the list. And it's an option. You can have sidewalks, curbs, and aprons. You can have all 3 done. You can have 1 or 2, or just one of those items done. You don't have to agree to all 3.
Okay, which,
But real fast, let's say his curb is fine, but his sidewalk is off.
Yeah.
Then you would have to replace your sidewalk.
Right.
You could do it as part of this plan, or you can do it yourself, but you don't have to replace your curb if your curb is fine. Or the same thing with your apron. Okay.
Which is compliance here of the three? I can't see my apron, maybe sidewalk and the curb.
You're asking which one?
Are you on the list now?
Yeah.
What's the address?
Lot 43, lot 6.
What we'll do too, just to clarify things, is we're gonna take everyone who's on the list and we'll mail them which of those three is specifically needs to be addressed. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because otherwise, you're right, maybe you're just one of the three, maybe you're two of the three,
Yeah.
but you don't know because we just told you you're on the list.
I'm on the north side of lot 43 that's on there.
Understand?
On the notes, it says 0 or 1 sidewalk squares because there's a tree lifting a
Okay.
square up.
Okay. Now, do I have to replace the whole sidewalk or those particular squares?
It's up to you.
Oh,
It's up to you. The whole point is that it's to bring it in compliance. So it's a good point. Let's say you got 50 feet in front and you only need to replace 2. Let's say one's busted and the other one's got a tree knocking it up. You can leave the other ones.
Okay, okay.
But, I mean, I would guess while you're doing 2, you might as well do,
Granted, just
Yeah.
the possibility now. Third question, the demolition versus the forming out. Now, could that be self-done,
would you do the demo and they would just do the?
Right, and any reduction in cost, they're under
I
there
don't
too.
know how the bid is written.
We can take a look, yeah, I don't know how, I don't think we broke it out. I could be wrong, but
Okay.
I think we just assumed them doing a sort of turnkey operation.
Okay, well, okay.
I mean, in your case, you can do it some.
Okay, no, that's possibilities.
Right. Just by show of hands, how many of the folks are here for sidewalk stuff? Okay. Do you think it'd be worthwhile having a separate meeting just to,
I imagine there will be several meetings and also several letters going out advising everybody as the process moves forward.
yeah, this is, I mean,
I've been told
this is
from
taking a long time. But it's not something we're looking to rush people into. So we'll go through, because I thought Mr. Doyle had some great questions. He just got a thing that said he's on the list, but how does he know if it's his curb, his apron, or his sidewalk?
Yeah, there, from what I understand from past experiences when they've done this in town before, is that there's a series of notifications saying, here's what we're going to replace at your property, here's last chance to back out, or last chance to get on the list, and last chance to make a decision, do you want 3 squares of sidewalk or 4, and things like that. And then there will be more notification about when the project's gonna start, and lots of meetings and letters.
Matt, when we did this in the 90s, that's what we did, a special meeting, and we can have someone here to explain it to those people that have the questions. So I think there's probably so many questions out there, different questions, which would take us all night long. And I'm sure there's other people in town that aren't here tonight would have questions. So if we had a specific meeting, that would probably go a long way to getting this done, move it ahead.
Okay, does that make sense for folks? And again, we'll be in contact. Again, I thought you had 2 good questions with multiple points. And how many years will people have to repay it?
I believe it's 5.
Right, so it's over 5 years. So let's say it costs you, $2,000. I'm just playing fast and loose with numbers right now. But let's say it costs you $2,000. That would be $400 a year over 5 years, interest free. It's designed 2 things. One, to make it as affordable as possible, but also to encourage and somewhat, if we need to, prompt people to fix their sidewalks. Because we do have too many people have to go into the street because the sidewalks are just far too dangerous. And we were discussing this before, Council President and I. Some of the more beautiful sidewalks are the ones that have slate, but they're also some of the most dangerous ones. Concrete is the least expensive. We have in front of my house, it's, may not be the most attractive, but if people want to maintain what they have when it comes to slate and brick, you can do that as long as it meets the current code. Just understand it's going to be more expensive than if you just did concrete. So with that, knowing we're going to do a special meeting and we'll do some more information, particularly drilling down to the specifics of the projects. Are there any other questions on this ordinance for sidewalks? Yes, ma'am.
I just have one
Just,
question.
you come to the microphone, just name that, just for us.
Renee, 12th Avenue. I just had one suggestion or an omission on the list. I took pictures of it, and it may not be raised, but it's definitely cracked. There's whole sections of the sidewalk missing, so I just wanted to find out how I can add that property to the list.
I would just need the address and get a code enforcement check it out.
218. 12th Avenue.
Oh, they've already been added. So
They have, okay, so thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
Carolyn, 19 18th Avenue. About a week ago or so, policemen were on my corner, coming knocking on the door. I saw the original list for the sidewalks in the paper. I wasn't on it. This policeman came to the door, asked me to identify myself. He handed me a copy of the original sidewalks that were on the list. I was not on it. And then he said to me, sign this on the clipboard, and said, you're now on the list. How did that happen? And they were going door to door.
That was a request to go around door to door. Documents were for the administrator. I'm not too sure exactly how it came to be.
So you're saying originally you were
I was
not
not
on
on, if you take, I think I saved the original one, and also the policeman handed me a copy of the original, and I'm not on it. But it seems I was on his clipboard, so.
You're not 218 12th Avenue, are you?
No, thank you.
Well, if you give us your address, we'll figure that out. I mean, I don't know if
You know, and I asked
they-
him what the,
they
and he
get
said,
you.
you know, don't kill the messenger. And he said, no, it's just kind of
Right.
curious, but I wasn't on it before. And is there a list, or somewhere in writing the criteria to get your sidewalks fixed, cracks, we know all that, but where is it written? Somewhere that we can reference that?
It's in the code.
Or did it just,
No, it's in the code. It's been there forever. I mean, you think about it, our code enforcement could go around and write summonses to
Yeah.
everyone, whether half an inch or a quarter inch, right? Quarter inch. And who in town doesn't have,
everybody?
right, off by quarter
Yeah.
inch? So we're not gonna do that. What we'd rather do is just take an approach. with it
Okay, thank
and
you.
address it. It's all right. Any other comments, questions on this ordinance? All right, I'll make a motion to close the second reading of public hearing, or close the public hearing on ordinance 2016-09, knowing full well that we'll do additional public meetings, and other ways to reach out to folks, along with letters, but also emails, which will be helpful as well. So I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Next on offer for adoption, ordinance 2016-09.
Second.
Councilman Kell Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Mayor Darrell?
Yes. So that is all for ordinances. Next is public session. Public session is very simple. Just raise your hand, we can call on, microphone, state your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes to talk about pretty much whatever you want to talk about. So, who would like to start off public session? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Claire Dyke, 1017 14th Avenue. Mayor, I have the pleasure of being your home on August 10th, but I was very, very dismayed to see the insulting remarks about you personally. When you see protesters in a small community, you might think they might be critical of a decision that you made or that how the town is being run in a certain area of town. But the insulting remarks were inappropriate and harmful. And I had a great concern about your daughters possibly coming out and reading those. I can recall how much I adored my father and how devastated I would have been if I had seen those remarks. The people organizing it, they had children. The video person has 2 daughters. I don't understand why, and everybody knows you have those children, but they insisted on having those insulting remarks. So I feel badly about that, and I just wanted to go public for the record. There's no thought but that hate agenda. That's it. There's no thinking about the children who could be hurt emotionally. So that's all I have to say. It was terrible.
Thank you. Any other public comments, questions? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Leah Truckerman. Last year, I had a new neighbor move in, and unfortunately, my fence was on his property, and he actually was very nice to get me part of my property back, but in the process, I lost 6 trees, and he put up a nice new white vinyl fence. And I've just been noticing all over town that as people renovate their homes, there's more and more white vinyl fences, and trees are just knocked down willy-nilly. He took all of the trees down in his property, and like I said, I had 6, they weren't big trees, but they all came down. So I looked up on the website, and I found the Shade Tree Commission. So I wrote an email to the Shade Tree Commission, and I wondered if they had any ordinances, or what was the process for removing trees, because I've been noticing this more and more as I've lived in Belmar, that less and less trees are present in town, and it's changing, in my view, the whole character of the town as it was when I once bought my property here. And frankly, I really want to know. And then this year, I wanted to follow up again. I looked online for the Shade Tree Commission, and I couldn't even find the Shade Tree Commission. So I'm wondering, is there a Shade Tree Commission, and what are they doing to address the issue of the trees coming down? Thank you.
Council President?
You found the Shade Tree Commission.
Last year, not this year.
You found them again.
We do have a Shade Tree Commission, and we're working very hard on getting approved by the state. Again, we used to be a tree city. We have not done that. But to address your question about trees on a person's private property, Shade Tree Commission can't control that, unless it's a heritage tree. That would be a special tree, large, but our Shade Tree Commission is not really strong enough to go on someone's property and say, you cannot cut down your tree. We're more responsible for education, like we have an Arbor Day program in the school. We'll go around and we'll trim low-lying branches from trees that are at the parks or at the fields. Neighbors will contact us for trees that have died, that are between the sidewalk and the curb, because that's really municipal property. But we don't go on the other side of the sidewalk to a private citizen's property and say you cannot cut down that tree. We don't have that authority. So.
And I will tell you, and hopefully you back up on this, post Sandy, we lost trees even a year later, 2 years later, that were sitting in salt water for a while.
Yeah.
And they never came in. They were probably had some issues beforehand, but they never came back afterwards. So we lost a lot in the last 24 months.
Well, just since September, I believe the number is we cut down 39 trees around the parks and stuff, because some of the trees did not die right away after Sandy. You started to see some of them were strong enough to fight the year, 2 years after it. Now they're stressed out and they're dying. And there's a lot of trees in Belmar that are dying or are now dead. And that's why we're trying to get an accreditation to be approved, because then there's grant money in that where we can get trees from the state, or grant money from the state, to plant new trees and to take down the dead ones. Our DPW has worked tremendously with us. One of the Shade Tree members is on the DPW, and we've sent them to different programs to learn more about trees. But we really don't have the equipment, because when you're dealing with large trees, it's dangerous work. And you don't want to really put an inexperienced DPW worker up there and try and take down a tree. You need a tree service, and it's expensive. There's some trees that we can do, they're small, boom, we go in there, or we take down the trees that were on Silver Lake, where there was a lot of flooding due to the salt water. We cooperated with JCP&L on a series of trees that are down between 8th Avenue and D Street on the north side of that street, because for some reason all those sycamore trees died. But there's power lines that go through there. So JCP&L came down, took the trees out to a level below the lines, and then our guys could take down the stump, and then we rented a stump grinder and we ground them down into the ground. But as far as going on private property, our ordinance doesn't give us that authority. And you would appreciate that. You wouldn't want us coming in and saying, that tree, you got to cut it down. Oh, and by the way, it's going to cost you $800.
And also along the same lines when it comes to power lines, one of the things we have in town, we have a lot of power lines that are in the backyard. So they run along the property lines where the properties abut. And people did have trees going back there. Problem is, high winds and storms, they'll knock down, they'll take them down, and JCP&L spends.
Sorry.
Okay?
Sorry.
So JCP&L spends time looking for them. And then, God forbid, there's a dog in the backyard, they gotta wait for that. So one of the things that they push a lot is to put it in the front, which in a lot of ways, I think, in the back, but that means you gotta clear out those trees as well, along the back property line, because they cause a hazard for the overhead wires.
I guess I just assumed that the Shade Tree Commission would be protecting the trees rather than more into the cutting them down and, it's looking for,
There's different shade tree commissions throughout the state. Some are very, very strong. It depends on how they're set up by ordinance. Ours is more of a smaller shade tree commission with more educational, going into the schools, Arbor Day. We really don't have any real authority. We're all volunteers. It's like our budget is about maybe $3,500 a year. It costs you about $800 to $1,000 to take down one or two trees. So we're doing the best we can to work towards getting grant money to replace the trees and to have a tree service come in and take down other trees. But Belmar is not the only one. If you go throughout any town, you're going to see trees that are dying or dead, or every town has our same problem.
Get Chief Heisman to give you a gun. Take care of the.
Shoot it. Yeah. But the wires, again, I'm sorry, George. Some people say, well, why did you plant those trees where the electric wires are? Those trees were planted before the electric wires went in. So those sycamore trees that you see, the real big ones, they've been there for 80, 90, over 100 years. And our electric wires, cable wires, haven't been there that long. So the trees were there first. Some people say, the trees are ruining my sidewalk. Well, you know what? Those trees were there before your sidewalk.
and you have to replace the sidewalk and the tree.
Actually, when it comes to state statute, if you have a choice between your sidewalk or the tree wins out, and you have to put your sidewalk around the roots of the tree. Yeah.
George, you want to say something?
Yeah, Mayor, it just came to my attention on the ordinance 21609 as a bond ordinance, you actually require 4 affirmative votes for that. 2/3 out of 5 is 4, so we're going to have to do that vote again.
All right, you want to unwind that here, or?
Yeah, I just make a motion to place it back on for a second meeting at the next meeting.
Does he do that because he had to recuse himself? Or
No,
would I?
No, this is, so all bond ordinances
No.
need 4 affirmative votes.
All right.
So I'll make a motion that we.
Well, let's make a motion to relist the matter for a second meeting at the next meeting.
I'll make that motion.
We're list.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry for letting that one
Crazy
slip
good.
through.
It was a test.
Yeah, it was a
Test.
test. Well, I don't know about that, he passed after.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I had to look up the answer, and it's easy test.
Any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
Kathy Spisso, 1220 Maplewood. I would like to make a suggestion in reference to safety on Ocean Avenue with pedestrians. Sometimes it's difficult to see pedestrians on the corner in reference to crossing. I would like to suggest putting cones right at the crosswalk, so at least the pedestrians can come out in front of the parked car, and you can see them better than standing on the sidewalk. I just find that there are a lot of people that aren't crossing at that time, a lot of people with children that won't step off the curb until, they see no one. So I think placing cones would definitely help the pedestrians walking across the street to at least walk out a little further so you can see them.
So put the cone where you think, like a few feet off of the curb?
Yes, yeah,
I think Evelyn does that, right?
Yeah, in Bradley Beach.
yeah, and people will walk into that area, so you know that they're definitely crossing.
Sort of like a waiting area.
Yeah. Thank you.
Otherwise, you're kind of guessing, right?
Yeah, Drew, can I ask you a question? I know we have to stop for pedestrians, but do the pedestrian, is there a rule that the pedestrians have to stop before they step into the
No.
roadway? So they just, some of the time, I'm wondering, I'll talk to you another time about this, so I don't want to bring it up then.
All right. Any other public comments? Yes.
Sandy Caputo, 1705 Surf Avenue. Thank you, Mayor. You were not here for a couple of meetings, so I'm going to bring up this subject again, safety on the beach, footballs, frisbees, soccer balls. We got baseball bats now. It should not be up to me to move when they start playing football. It should not be up to me to have to watch out for the footballs.
Gotcha. Yeah, I forget how long ago. A few years ago, we changed the ordinance, because there used to be an ordinance, a whole bunch of things that were prohibited on the beachfront. Making sandcastles was prohibited. Not that the police ever wrote a ticket for it, but technically it was prohibited. And I remember ball playing was prohibited, but I thought we amended that to amended it to permit ball playing. But we always gave discretion to the lifeguards that you couldn't do it in a way that put other people in danger. So in other words, if two guys want to throw a football and they do it by the boardwalk, who cares? Two grown men are doing it on the edge of the water, that's a problem. If, two 6-year-olds are knocking a beach ball back and forth by the water, who cares? So I think we always sort of gave the leeway to the lifeguards to make that determination as to what was, inappropriate use. So if you're telling me that they're not enforcing that, I'd be a bit surprised, because I sort of get the message that they are, I don't want to say heavy-handed, but they overregulate where people are able to play ball.
I have not seen a
Frisbee or
lifeguard
right-
voluntarily stop a football game in more than 20 years. And I am talking about grown men
By the
playing
way,
right by the water, missing toddlers by a little bit.
that's
People
right.
have to move away,
yeah, that's
and it's not right.
that, you're absolutely right. That
Thank
is
you.
not-
Sandy, you came at the last meeting and you mentioned it, and I know for a fact that at the end of the meeting, Colleen got on the phone and called Ray Elms. Got Ray Elms and was telling him that there was another mention of your concern. So she was setting up a meeting for him the very next day. So it's not like you're coming to the microphone and sitting down. We're taking it very seriously. It's, getting the lifeguards to kind of meet your standards.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Which they ought to do.
Thank you. Okay.
Any comments? Yes, sir.
Brendan Reed, 109th Avenue. Mayor Council, first I want to express my sympathies for the family and loved ones of the father and son who died in that awful fire last night. I was going back to the planning board meeting and I saw it got out of my car, I smelled the smoke, it almost teared at how bad the smoke was, and then I don't know if our neighbors what happened last night. Second, I want to give a big shout out to the crews who are building the Taylor and the Rolling Pavilions. I walk the boardwalk every morning and I see the amazing work. Third, unfortunately, I have to raise this point that once again, myself, like Claire Dyke, have expressed our disgust at the Belmar Republicans resorting to senseless and quite frankly disturbing tactics. I'm referring to the so-called protest at the home of your home, which I was also with Claire Dyke that night. And just prove once again, local GOP, like their de facto party leader Donald Trump, has proven it has no filters on behavior. Homes, let me explain this. Even when there are events taking place are off limits. Children are off limits. Your children were at home at that event, they should not, as Claire pointed out, should not have to see this type of nonsense. Here's the issue. Such skeezy tactics tarnish whatever validity of the point that GOP is trying to make. And the hard fact is the voters are not going to put up with this garbage. The people spoke in 2014 by electing you, majority, and by electing Tom Brennan. And voters this year, thanks to Donald Trump's nonsense, are going to vote for Hillary Clinton. You're going to vote Democrat right down the line, including for Brian McGovern and to Janice Cohn-Blackford. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
David Schnepp, 302 C Street. I would like to ask Mr. Reed.
No, you address the council.
I want to ask the council to ask Mr. Reed what evidence he has that any Republican, Belmar Republican Committee, Monmouth Republican Committee, Donald Trump, what evidence is there that any of these organizations or people were involved with this protest? If you're going to allow someone to come up to the mic and accuse Republicans of organizing this, I want to know what the evidence is. Fact of the matter is, all those signs were about salt. They weren't about Republicans, they weren't about Democrats, they were about salt.
No, that's not true. Not all the signs weren't about salt.
Well, it was because of salt.
Now, there were some comments directed to the mayor.
Yeah, but it had nothing to do with Republicans. I
That's
don't know
not
why the Republicans come into this. The Republican Party of Belmar had nothing to do with it. The Republican Party of Belmar had nothing to do with it.
Are you a Democrat?
No, excuse me. The Republican Party of Belmar had nothing to do with it. Now, you're going to say, well, somebody there was a Republican. Yeah, there were probably people there that were Democrats too. It had nothing to do with the Republican Party.
I know, but
I just said, go ahead. You can finish. I'm sorry, I want to make sure you get the floor.
By the way, Ms. Dyke already had her one turn at the mic. Everybody gets one turn at the mic. Ms. Dyke already had her one turn at the mic. If you're going to allow people to have two turns at the mic, you have to allow everybody to have two turns at the mic. Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
Chelsea Wilson. Just a simple procedural thing. We've had so many conversations that have included the attorney. And because I cannot hear 90% of what's said, I'm wondering if there could be a microphone included so we're all privy to what's being discussed. That would be useful.
For the attorneys, much like we have for the, okay, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin.
Second thing, there, from personal experience, I know I've presented issues and concerns, and perhaps a compliment stepping up here. And the only thing that appears in the minutes is the compliment. I would love to see an inclusive presentation of discussion in the minutes. Thank you.
That's good. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Joy Sanctus, 101 6th Avenue. I couldn't quite hear in the back because you're talking very low tonight. Why did you recuse yourself?
I didn't recuse myself. We tabled the resolutions and the ordinances, because otherwise, if there was a quorum, the other members were here, I would have recused myself.
Oh, I thought I heard that you recused yourself, so you have not recused yourself from any voting on any ordinances or resolutions that were on.
I already answered your question.
What?
What?
I can hear.
I already answered your question.
Okay. And Brian, I heard a lot about this protest that you were going up to individuals and photographing them.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering why you would want to memorialize something that is so apparent.
I wanted to have, if there wasn't a newspaper photographer there also taking their photographs, and there was a videotaper, so they're on public property. So I would think that I have just as much right to take their photograph as the person with the camera and the videotape. So I just took a
agree.
picture, and some of the people in the back just wanted to see who some of the protesters were. And no big deal.
Because it seems to have kind of prompted the situation where Matt is publicly communicating allegedly.
Probably if there were no other photographers or videotaping it, I wouldn't have taken my camera, I wouldn't have taken their picture. But since there are other cameras there and they're on public property.
No, I don't have any problem with it, I'm just,
Oh, okay.
I was just
I
curious.
was just, okay, thank you.
About what happened. I mean, anybody's entitled to photograph anything, it's just that if it was so objectionable, allegedly, I wouldn't know why you would want to memorialize anything, so that possibly, if it got posted on, let's say, Matt's Facebook page, maybe his family might be exposed to that as well. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
That was not my,
Publicize it.
that was not my intention. No, thanks, Troy.
Okay, I'm glad, thank you.
There've been a couple mentions tonight about the sound, people not hearing. The architect, Mr. Oroz, who designed this room, who was smart enough to put this brick on the walls, was also the person who designed the PA system. So I think since 1986 it's been here for 30 years, we could probably upgrade the PA system in here so that the people in the back can hear. So Mr. Oroz is not around any longer.
Let's blame him then.
We're blaming him, and
For the
thank
protest?
him for the hard brick walls and the speakers.
You always hear Brian on that, and I appreciate that.
All right, seeing no one else, I'll make a motion to close the public portion and adjourn tonight's meeting.
Aye.